Do you like to draw? Have you ever wanted to see your drawings come to life? This class will teach you how to make a 5-second animation with as little as 12 drawings. For our class project, you will learn how to animate a dog howling, complete with sound effects. The class requirements are that you will need to purchase a program called Rough Animator, which is $5. It runs on a Mac, PC, or a tablet running iOS, Android, or Kindle Fire. This class is for beginners or animators looking for an easy-to-learn program to get into 2D hand-drawn animation. If you can draw stick figures, you can take this class. Hi there, my name is Patrick Davidson, and I'm a graphics freelancer and part-time animator. I've been animating for over 20 years now, and I've worked on projects from TV commercials to feature films. I work mainly in 2D, or hand-drawn animation. My favorite personal animated projects are the web comedy series Traveling Gringos and my action series Trep. I'm also an expat from California, living in my new adopted country of Costa Rica. But enough about me, let's get into this class. Welcome to our class. Let's get started. Let's switch over here to Rough Animator, and we're going to hit start a new project. I'm going to keep the resolution at 720p, 24 frames, so you can do larger if you want. But that's what I'm going to work at. And let me just get situated here. I'm going to zoom out with Command minus or Command plus. Goes larger. Hold the space bar down and you get the hand, and you can move the whole canvas around. Here's our timeline up here. Let's give ourselves some more room. And let's just look at the tools real fast. So if we come up here to Window, we can see there's 5 main tool palettes. So we've got Tools, which are your drawing tools, eraser, etc. And we'll get into that. Tool Options, which is this in the bottom right corner here. And you'll see that this will change depending on what tool you're in on the right. And then we've got Timeline, which is this up top here, and we'll get into that, what that's got. Then we've got Preferences, and this I only use occasionally, so we'll pull that up when we need it. I don't need it open right now. And then Color Palette, we can use that as well. But I'm going to close it for now. We want black for now. So I'm going to grab the brush tool, and I'm going to switch from my mouse to my pen on my tablet here. And I just want to do a rough sketch of our dog here. So I'm going to start making some shapes. A little triangle for the nose. Oval for the ears, and we're going to do an oval for the body here. Give him a little tail, and what we want to do, and give him a couple of feet in the back and some feet in the front here. And we're going to give him some eyes, a couple of circles there, and some eyebrows. I'm going to give him a triangle nose, and at this stage I just want to sketch it quickly. We're not going for the world's best drawing right now. We can do that and later. This is our roughs basically, and that's a good time to come up here. And we're going to name this layer because that's what we're drawing on here by default. I'm going to call this Roughs. And come back here. Actually, I want these legs to be a little longer. There's a few ways to do that. I'm going to grab the eraser tool and just erase what I've drawn here. And actually, I want a bigger eraser. So let's go ahead and let's double that up to 50, and you can see that it gets bigger. Let's go ahead and go to 100. and even bigger still. Back over to our brush, and let's just give this little poor doggy some feet here. Okay. And I'll give him a spot on his back. So for the time being, I'm just going to sketch things in. I'm not going to spend too much time on detail. And, because again, these are our roughs. Let's see, let's give him a little lip there. Okay. Actually, I don't know if I like that ear, so let's erase that. Clean them up just a little bit here. And give him a bottom lip. All right. So let's go with that. Okay, now we've got our rough drawing. The next, what I want to do is I want to basically do all of my animation as roughs. And then we're going to go back over and we're going to create a new layer on top of the roughs, and we're going to do cleaner drawings. What I want to do is just come up here and click Add Drawing. Now we're going to add after, or we could duplicate after. These are the options it's giving us. Let's try duplicate after, actually. So now you see here we've got 2 frames, and they're the same frame. But what I want to do on the second frame is we're going to come over here, we're going to erase, and I'm going to erase his whole head, and I'm going to redraw it. And that way I don't have to redraw the body. Go back to my brush. And let's draw some more shapes here. A couple of ovals. And let's keep drawing. So what we're drawing here is we're drawing a dog howling. And as our little guy here is howling, we're going to have some animation happen. In the meantime, let's just do a quick little drawing here. Now we can see his back or his front paw here. Okay, so now we've actually got some animation here with just the 2 drawings. So we can kind of flip back and forth and you can see the animation. One thing I noticed is I've kind of drawn him a little bit high. So if I want to move this drawing, I want to move all of my drawings. So to move multiple drawings, you want to center this a little bit, drop him down a little bit. So we hit Edit Multiple, and we get our little bounding box here. And it looks like you can click and drag this and select. Now we've got both selected, as they both have highlighted. So now I want to come over here and grab our little lasso tool, and we're just going to grab all of the drawing. And then we can just click and drag and drop him down in the center where we want him. And I believe we can scale up and down once we're in this as well. So when we're done, we just click outside of that, and you can see we still got both or all of the frames selected, so we're just going to come up here and select one. And now you can see we've moved all of our drawings at one time. So that's how to do that. Let's go back to our brush, because what we want to do is add a few details of animation here. And one thing I want to do on the second drawing is I want to add some animation to his tail. So let's come here and let's erase the tail. And then I'm going to go back to my brush, and then we're going to flip it the other way. Now, let me undo that to show you. This is a good time to turn on onion skin. So we come here, we click onion skin, and you can see the drawing underneath the previous drawing. So that way you can see where the base of the tail is. We want to keep that pretty close to the same when we draw our tail. So now, when I draw the tail, I'm basically going to go like that. Let me do it one more time here. Get the length a little bit better. Okay. So now, I'm going to turn onion skin off, and when I flip back and forth, you can see that there's some animation on the tail. The next thing we want to animate is I want to animate his eyes moving back and forth. So that's going to happen before the howl, because that's the order we want to animate in. So let's go back to the first drawing, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that drawing, and the way that I do that is we're going to hit Add Drawing and Duplicate After. And so now we've got separate drawings of the same drawing. Now, let me undo that and show you. If I were to make that 2 frames, I could come over here and click that, and now I've got 2 frames, but you don't see that divider line, so it's actually one drawing. And I didn't want that. I wanted 2 separate drawings, not one drawing going over 2 frames. So I'm going to either go back to 1 frame, or what I could do is I want the eyes to go back and forth. So let's go to 3 frames. So we select the first frame, and we come up, click Add Drawing, and then we do Duplicate Split Halfway. And what that does is it breaks us up. And we go back here, and we do it again, Duplicate Split Halfway. And now you'll see we've got 3 separate drawings on 3 separate frames, and they're all the same drawing. So what I want to do is I want to come here to the second frame, and I'm going to change his eye direction. So I'm just going to grab the eraser. Let me zoom in here. And I need to change my eraser size. Let me drop that down. And let's just take those out and grab the brush. And we're going to make him look this way. Okay. So now we've got, he's looking to the left of the screen, he's looking to the right of the screen, and then he's looking back to the left, and then he howls. So it's bam, bam, bam. So now in 4 drawings, basically, we've got some animation, and including the tail wagging on, moving on that 4th frame. So the next thing I want to do, that we were going to do, is we're going to make the dog howl and have some visual representation of the howling. So let's get into that. So we've got this one drawing, and another way to get us a bunch of separate drawings is we come up to Add Drawing and we click Duplicate After. And now we've got 2 of the same drawing. So I want about 6 of those, so let's just keep doing that. Duplicate After, Duplicate After, and one more time. So then we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the same drawing. Now in each of these frames we're going to add some animation. So the first drawing, there's not going to be any effect. The second drawing is where we're going to draw our effect. So now I just take my brush tool, and what I want to do is add a little circle like that. And then I want to go to the next frame, and if you have a keyboard handy, you can hit the right arrow key. Left and right arrows will go back and forth on the timeline. So this is a good time to click on onion skin, and then you can see here's our previous frame. So I kind of want the arc to go like this with the animation. So each frame, as I hit the right arrow key, this bubble is gonna get bigger and kind of go in the same path. And now let's see what that kind of looks like on the timeline here. And let me turn off onion skin, and as I scrub that, so you can see that's the animation with that. And when we get to this last bubble, what I want to do is, let's go ahead and duplicate that after. We get a new frame. I'm going to erase this that we've drawn. Let me get my eraser back up to a good size. Turn onion skin back on. Okay, and now I'm going to draw with the brush like a pop. And let's do that one more time. Let's duplicate that drawing. And this time, let's take the eraser. Drop the eraser size back down. And I just want to get these to barely visible. There. And then I want one more frame. So let's add drawing, duplicate after, and on this one, let's just erase these all together. Okay. And we don't want to do timing yet. So, what we want to do is we want to get all of our drawings done, and then we can go in and mess with the timing of the animation. So that's it. So we've got 12 drawings there, and those are the 12 drawings we're going to use to do our animation. We want to click Modify Layers, and we want to click Duplicate Layer Timing to Blank Drawings. And now what we've got is we've got a blank drawing for every frame that we've got down here. So that way we're just have to click on it and draw what we want to draw. And that's going to be our cleanup. So let's name that layer Cleanups. I'm going to come back here to the roughs. I'm going to drop the opacity down, and then we're going to just sketch on top of that. Some people like to draw their roughs in a different color besides black. I didn't choose to do that for this tutorial, but you can do that. Again, you would go up and pick from your color palette a different, like a blue or something, but I'm just going to stay with black for now. And now on the cleanups is where we do want black for this. So let's start doing our cleanup drawings. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can have more control. And let's go click on the brush. I actually want to bring my brush size up a little bit. So that's when we use our tool options over here on the right. And I'm going to pick about 30. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that. So let's start drawing. Now, if I'm getting a real shaky line, what I can do is I can change the smoothing over here. So if I go all the way down to 0 and I have a shaky line, I'm going to stay with that shaky line. If we pump that up a little bit, and it looks like 7 is the highest we can go, and I try and do a shaky line and I let go, it snaps it into a cleaner line. So depending on how much smoothing you do or don't want, it kind of affects the look of your drawing. I'm going to undo those lines, and I'm going to get this back down to about 3. Okay, now I don't like that line. I can undo it and draw it again. So what we want to do now is connect this line here, because I'm going to grab the paint bucket tool and I'm going to click and fill that. Now this is where you can pay attention to the tool options here. We've got Fill Expand. If I have that down to 0 and I click here, you can see we get this white line where the fill is not fully filling in. So if you have your Fill Expand to 0, that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to undo that fill, and let's try, looks like 20 is as high as it goes. So I'm just going to pick like 5 for now, and let's see if that fills it. And it does. So there's a little bit of white here, so maybe I want to go to 6. Let's try 6 and see if that takes care of it. And try it again. Still got it. If I go up to 10, it should take care of it. That's about halfway. And then it almost, it overfills. So we got this breaking on the top here. So you just got to find the right balance for your drawing here. And I'm going to undo that. I think I liked it around 5, but it's good enough for me. Okay, fill that. I'm going to fill this little area. I'm going to fill his nose. Okay, now I'm not going to color in his body. I'm just doing this quickly so I can show you the fill tool. You can always grab your brush and go in and fill any extra little whites that didn't get filled. And that's how we're going to get our cleaned up drawing. So let's select our next drawing, and we basically want to do the same thing. Let's just draw him again. The final animation, it's not going to be super static. It's going to move a little bit, and that's good or bad, depends on what you're trying to achieve. Okay, next drawing. And this drawing is the same as the first drawing pretty much. So let's just get through these drawings, and I may even speed this up at the video editing stage. So I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, so that's the last of the drawings. Let me zoom out a little bit. And now we can turn off completely the visibility of the roughs. We don't need to see that anymore. And let's go ahead and play this. It's going to be fast, but let's play it. So that's our animation. So now we've got our clean drawings. We're at the stage where we can get our timing and our loops of our animation. So we're getting closer to finishing the project. So now we've got 12 drawings that are cleaned up, and now it's time to do the animation. So what we want to do is this first frame we want it to hold. So you just change the duration, and you can see now I've got it at 4 frames, and there's no individual frames anymore. It's one frame holding for 4 frames. So let's do the same thing for this. 4 frames on that, and then that 4 frames on that. Okay, so now it's a little more of a hold as he's looking back and forth. Then as he goes to his howl, we want this to hold also. So let's add that up to 4. And then these can move a little bit faster. So I can either do it this way and just go 2 frames. Maybe let's go 3 frames on that. 3. But if I wanted to select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames, I can hit edit multiple, and I can grab all 5. And now, that doesn't look like I can change the duration multiple. So let's just do it by hand. And let me go 2 frames on each one of these. So 2 frames and 2 frames. Okay, 2 frames on that one and 2 frames on that one. Okay. And then this one can hold. So let's hold that for 4. And let's go ahead. Now we've got a total of 34 frames, which is a little over a second long for the animation. Let's play that and let's see how the timing looks. Okay, I think we need to have some more time holding on some of these. So let's double this up. This one, and let's try this. So this is the stage where you can kind of finesse how long certain frames hold, and it gives you that anticipation. And you know, the cool thing about the Rough Animator is it's very easy to just select this drawing and, you know, let's see what I've done here is I've gone long, short, long on the eye hold, and let's just play it and let's see what that looks like. Still going kind of fast. So let's hold this one the same amount. Let's go 8 on that, and let's see what that looks like. So before the howl, I want this to hold even longer. So let's bring that up to, let's bring it up to 12 frames, which is half a second. And actually, let's bring this up to 12 frames too. And let's bring that up to 12. So that's going to give us some more time to look at things. So that's looking pretty good, timing-wise. What I think I might want to do, though, is change some more timing. But you notice now that we've got 58 frames, I can't see all 58 frames. I have to scroll now. So there's a way so that I'll show you the way to show your whole timeline as it gets bigger. Let's go up to Window. We go back down to Preferences here. And the first thing is Timeline Horizontal Zoom. So if we slide this, you'll see, as now we can see, we can go pretty small here. I just like to keep it to where I can see the whole timeline. So I'm going to drop it right about there. And there's some other things you can change here. The colors of your onion skins forward and backwards. Allow the forward button to add a drawing if you wanted to work that way. And then the preview resolutions. So there's some things that you can change here within this preferences pane. But we don't really need it open all the time, so I'm going to close it. And let's play it one more time. I kind of want to see maybe a little bit longer. Let's bring these from 2 frames to 3 frames. Let's see what that looks like. And okay, let's play that. Okay. Now, the next thing we want to show you is how to make a loop. But let's go ahead and zoom out on my timeline a little bit more here. Okay. So to make a loop, what I want to loop is I want the bubble coming out of the howl of the dog's mouth to loop. So that's basically from here to here. So the way to make a loop, or a cycle, sorry, they call it a cycle here, is we're going to select the end frame, and then we're going to click Make Cycle. And you can see that it puts this green loop already here. So what you're seeing is basically the loop starts and ends and starts here. So this is our actual cycle, and we want this to cycle 3 times total. So right now, so the way to extend this is we come over to drawing duration, and right now it's at 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. We just keep adding to that. 5, 6, 7, 8. And we go, you don't even have to count, because you'll see when the cycle ends. And there, it just ended here. And I went 2 over. So let's go back 2, and now we've got a full second cycle. So that howl will cycle twice if I play it. So let's go and play it. So we've got the look, and then 1 howl, 2 howls. Okay. But we want 3 howls. So we just keep adding to that loop. So if it's at 25 frames, we can just make it 50. Double that. And boom, we've now got another full cycle. And you can see it because of the green outline. If you didn't want that full cycle, you can cut that down. Where's my... Let me zoom out a little bit. All right, on the timeline. So you can see that it doesn't have a full cycle because I cut a few frames off as I'm pulling it back. But that all just depends on the timing and where you want the animation to start and stop. And then now as I keep going past 50, it's starting to start a 3rd cycle. Well, we just want to do 2 for now, so I'm going to stop it right at 50. So it's 25 frames, 25 frames, 25 frames. And those are our 3 howls. 1, 2, 3. And you can see the green highlights are the cycles, and the green with the blue or purple center highlight is the original drawings. So if I make a change to one of these drawings here, it's going to make the change to both of those cycles. But I don't want to do that. But that's just how it works. I'm a little unhappy with the eyes on this frame and on this frame. So instead of having to change it 12 different drawings, I just have to change this once because it's one drawing holding for 12 frames. So let's go ahead and adjust that. So let me zoom in, grab my eraser. Actually, I can probably just use my pen tool. And let's just make them a little bit bigger. And you can see it works for all 12 frames that it's holding for. And let's go ahead and change this as well. I want to just make those a little bit bigger. And let's zoom out and play the whole animation from the beginning. And that's it. Before I go too much further, I want to save the work that we've done. As you can see right here, this dot shows that we have not saved our work. So let's go ahead and go to File and Save. And we're going to give it a name. And I'm going to call it Dog Oop. Dog howl. Save it to the desktop. Save. Okay, and then that dot goes away and we know we've saved our work. So in case there's a crash, we will hopefully have this backed up. So the last thing that I want to do is I want to add the sound effect of the howl. And at this point, sometimes I like to export the video to Final Cut Pro or a video editor, but we're going to try and add the audio into this actual file. So if you know what the timing of your howls are, you can just come up here and import the audio. If you've got your audio pre-prepared for the timing, you can open it and you can see that my howls kind of sync up with the loops. So let's play that and see what we get. Here. Ow! 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 So the one thing about Rough Animator that I don't like with audio is you can't time shift the audio to sync up like you could in a video editor like Final Cut Pro. So you may not want to put your audio in here. And the other thing that I've noticed is you can remove the audio that we just added in, but we can't record audio in the Mac version. You can, however, record audio straight into the iPad version of this app, and it seems to have all the same tools in the same layout. So if you're doing this program or this class and all you've got is the iPad and the version of Rough Animator, then you should be able to record your own audio right within the program. So now that we've got our audio in, I want to export this, and so we go File. We've got three options for exporting. We can export to QuickTime Video. We can export a PNG sequence, which is going to be a bunch of individual frames, or we can export a GIF. And that's going to loop without audio, I believe. But for what I want to export a QuickTime Video. So I click that, and let's save it to the desktop. So let's go take a look. And here's our movie. Let's open it in QuickTime and give it a play. Ow! Ow! And at this point, I might consider looping it. So we can go in QuickTime and just loop it. Ow! 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 So now we've created approximately a 5-second animation with audio and did everything within Rough Animator. So the one last thing I might want to do for this project is add something to the background. And that background is like one long frame. So let's just grab our brush here and we can draw in a little bit of background for the guy. So now that he's got a background, we can go and export that again. And this time let's export it as a GIF and see what that does. And there's our GIF. And you notice there's no audio, but it loops automatically. So that's what you get with the GIF. You get the loop, the animation will just loop, and that's good for a website, and there's no audio. But that's a good to know that Rough Animator will export as that. And then a PNG sequence, if you get a little more advanced, there's times when you want that and you'll know what those are. Ideally, combining your animation drawings on top of video, that's one example of when you can use the PNG sequence. And it would export, let's just do it. It exports out as a bunch of drawings, but I want to make sure that I export it into a folder. So let's make a folder and just call this dog and create that, and then we'll save. And you've got the option to include your alpha channel here if you want to. We save that, and then what we should have when we go to our Finder under dog is we've got a bunch, every single frame is its own drawing. So, you know, there. And it's just, looks like 111 drawings that we've just exported. And then what you would do in your Final Cut Pro or your video editor is you would import an image sequence, and that would import those single drawings in as an animation. But no need to do that today. We should be okay with just a QuickTime video export. So let's save our progress one more time. There's a lot more you can do with Rough Animator. I didn't get into all the tools, but this is a good project, easy enough to get you started if you've never used the program before, and you can see some of its limitations, and you can also see some of its abilities and strengths. And that'll do it for the dog howl animation using Rough Animator. Let's recap what we've just learned. We learned how to set up a new project in Rough Animator. We looked at an overview of the tool palettes and how to use the drawing tools. We learned the importance of doing rough animation first and why sometimes it can be helpful to wait until your cleanup drawings until you start your animation timing and cycles. And why it is important to fix your drawings when needed. We also learned how to add sound effects and how to save your work. Finally, we explored the 3 different export options available in Rough Animator. This has been Patrick Davidson, the Expat Animator. See you next time.